up, party people and magic makers? Destiny here on this magical Monday, and I wanted to chat with you more about perspective. I know we've been covering it for the past 2 weeks, but I've got another one here for you, and it's a little bit of a doozy if I do say so myself. So I was talking to one of my nephews, and he is six and a half, and he was telling me how he's getting into all different types of music, and he's been listening to classical music, which I thought was super cool for a 6.5-year-old. Well, this little kiddo decides to inform me and ask me first if I like classical music. Of course, I said yes, and I was like, yeah, Pachelbel, Beethoven, they're all great. He has this quizzical look on his face. He's like, what? What do you mean? Who are those people? And I was just like, what are we talking about here? Classical music, right? And he goes, yeah, like NSYNC and Britney Spears. So I'll let you groan. I'll let you hold your tummy and say ow for just a little bit, much like I did. And this kid, 6.5, is saying basically that 90s music is classical. And I, after being a little bit pissy, was baffled. However, this was a huge and amazing lesson to dive into, because I realized there are actually many things that we just don't know anything about, right? Much like my little 6-year-old nephew, who's just like, he's going about his day. He's so excited that he's learning about different music. He has no idea what came before. Like, the fact that he even knows 90s music is a pretty decent feat in and of itself, right? I'm gonna guess his teacher, his music teacher's probably in their 30s or 40s. But the fact that this 6.5-year-old is like, this is classical music, I'm like, no, honey. Let Auntie tell you what classical music really is, and then let's also go into like classic rock and all of those kind of things. But there's so many things that we actually don't know because we just never learned it. And somebody probably like rolled their eyes and was just like, oh gosh, right? And they didn't like support us in learning more of it. And these are our blind spots. These are things that we just don't know that we don't know them until we are like face to face with them and we're like, whoa. And so when we come up with those blind spots, there's a couple of things that we can do. The first is that we can lean in and learn more about this blind spot. Really like dive into it and do our own research, ask questions, talk to other people that, like you feel could help you lead you on that journey. The other thing we can do though is get really pissed off and angry and pretend like our blind spot isn't there and like we know it all and we don't need anybody else's help figuring it out. It is very, very surprising how many people choose the latter. And I've even chosen the latter and then like swapped into the, okay, fine, I'll learn about it, right? And so this is not about beating ourselves up or judging if we chose to do the latter. This is just simply about knowing that we have a choice. But what happens when you don't know what you don't know? Like, how does it come to fruition? So normally it shows up in a few different ways, but the biggest way is there's a form of resistance. So there's something that is stopping you, something that is preventing you from getting to the other side of the proverbial wall. And so usually you feel like maybe tired, you procrastinate, you may not want to do something, you feel just very like blah about it. And so those can be signs that something is coming up, and more than likely, if you're not able to identify it right away, there's a blind spot, okay? And if that's the case, cool. Just know it and be like, all right, I have a blind spot, and then you can move forward into determining what you want to do. Now, if you choose to learn more about it, great. If you choose to be pissed off and angry about it, great. If you choose to do nothing about it, that's where the resistance and whatever is holding you back is just going to grow. So then it turns into like a bigger thing and then a bigger thing. So that's where you really want to pay attention. And I've got a number of clients who had no idea what their actual blind spot was, and they just came to me because something wasn't working for them. And again, that's the resistance. That's that little clue, right? And once we exposed the blind spot, they were like, oh, that. But it begins to then unravel. That blind spot doesn't have as much power and is not able to hold over you. And so it starts to release. And when you start to release that blind spot and learn about it and really see how it was created and why it was created, it can then be changed. And that is magical, magical stuff, right? So I want to know from you, okay, 2 questions. When did the younger generation do something that you were like, oh gosh, oh my gosh? Like for you, it's so simple. It's something you grew up with or something you already know that you know, right? But they just didn't. And then the second one is, what do you do when you have your blind spot? Do you decide to like lean in and learn about it, or do you get angry about it and like not do anything and get a little like grumpy? All right, so I definitely for sure want to hear back from you. So go ahead and comment below and let's chat about our blind spots. All right, until next time, peace.